Hi, welcome to Session 10. In this session we're going to cover arpeggios, finger picking, a little bit about fingerstyle technique, what's good hand technique for finger picking. We're going to talk about, I'm going to give you some simple finger patterns. As well, we're going to talk about Merle Travis style guitar, very popular, kind of a country style. I'm sure you'll recognize it once we start getting into it. We're also going to talk a little bit about classical guitar and the techniques that you use for that. In the guitar tip section, we're going to cover how to get control of your playing. Speed versus control. The only way you can get speed is through control. So we're going to talk about that. So I hope you're ready. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's talk about fingerstyle guitar and finger picking. We use arpeggios, which is a new term for you, a new concept for you. All an arpeggio is, we've done our chords, a D chord, let's say I'm doing a G chord, okay? All an arpeggio is I take the notes of those chords and instead of playing all together, I break them up. If I was at a G chord, it'd be like this. So instead of going, if I was to arpeggiate that or use an arpeggio, it'd be something like, that's all an arpeggio is. Now, in order to get good fingerstyle technique, there's a couple things we need to always keep in mind. And it all starts with some very key right hand concepts. We're going to be mainly dealing with this hand for this session today. So here's how you can start to have a good right hand position when you're starting fingerstyle stuff. The first thing you need to have is a very relaxed hand. Okay? So how we're going to do that, I want you to just take your hand, take your arm, put it down to your side. Just completely relax it. Your hand normally comes to this kind of a C-looking shape. Okay? And with that shape, just like that, just kind of bring that up to your guitar. This is actually, let's say, it's the 0 point of your muscles. There's two kinds of muscles that run in your hand, actually three kinds. But there's the two that we're going to talk about today. The ones that run on top, when I flex those, my finger goes up. When I flex the ones that run underneath, my finger goes in. So actually the 0 position is this rather C-looking form right here. That's where you want to start at. You don't want to start at an uncomfortable, stressful position or you'll never get the concepts that we're going to talk about. So take that relaxed hand, go ahead and put it up to your strings, and I've got to just kind of adjust it a little bit to get it on the strings. Okay? I'm going to put my thumb, just for our purposes right now, I'm going to put my thumb on the 6th string. Just going to set it right there. I'm going to put my first finger on the 3rd string. I'm going to put my second finger on that 2nd string and the 3rd finger on that 1st string. Got it? So we're dealing with the 6th string, the 3rd string, the 2nd string, and the 1st string. Now, as I fire my fingers, think of your fingers firing like a piston. As each one goes through its movements, you want to have freedom of motion. Now look what I had to do. I have to kind of bring my thumb forward just slightly and my wrist out. You don't want your wrist back in there like this, and you don't want to be like that. You may be tempted to do that because you think you kind of need all that pressure to do that. Actually, the best thing to do is bring that wrist out and that thumb forward slightly. Doesn't need to be way out of here, out of whack. Just forward a little bit slightly. Okay? And now we're going to fire all 4 of these, okay? So the thumb goes, and then first finger, second finger, and 3rd finger. Let's do that one more time. Thumb, first, second, 3rd. For our purposes, we're going to name these. In your book, they're going to be referenced as thumb will be T, first will be 1, second will be 2, third will be 3. In classical guitar technique, they call them different things. Thumb would be P. Sometimes you'll see P, I, M, and A. Thumb is P. I, index, would be first finger. M, middle. And then A would be your third finger. Okay, but for our purposes, we're just going to have thumb 1, 2, and 3. T, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, here's the first finger pattern that you need to work on. It starts on the open strings. We're going to put our hand right up here, move that thumb forward just a little bit slightly. You don't want him to hit that first finger. Okay, we're going to go through this real slowly. Now this is going to sound dumb if anybody's listening over your shoulder in the room that you're listening to. This is not going to make much sense to them. It's just going to sound like we're making noise. But don't worry about that. We're trying to get these finger concepts, okay? Here we go. So we'll do it nice and slow. This is finger exercise 1. Open string, open string, open string, open string. Thumb, 1, 2, 3. Thumb, 1, 2, 3. Thumb, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we don't use our pinky, and the secret to all of this is go slow. I know you're tempted to go real fast and get to playing all the faster stuff. You'll never get fast unless it's in control. Control is the key for speed. You want to go for control, not for speed. Once I get you controlled and your hand doing what your brain is telling it to do, then you'll get as fast as you can go. But I can't get you, if you just start playing fast, you'll forever be tripping over yourself and trying to get this flow right. Okay, let's try it one more time. Ready? A little bit faster. Thumb, 1, 2, 3. Thumb, 1, 2, 3. Thumb, 1, 2, 3. Thumb, 1, 2, 3. All of your fingers should be cupping up into your hand. Now let's add some chords with it. Let's start on exercise 2 with a G chord, just regular old open G. Same fingers on the same strings. Let's go. G. Thumb. 1, 2, 3. Now I know it's a lot to keep track of as we just get started, but as you do it more and more, it'll eventually just start running on autopilot. You won't have to think about it near as much as you're having to right now. Let's go to a C chord. Now my thumb is going to switch to the 5th string. These bottom 3 fingers still stay on the bottom 3 strings. Ready? Play. Thumb, 1, 2, 3. Thumb, 1, 2, 3. Now let's switch to a D chord. Now my thumb is going to switch down. He's on the 4th string now. Thumb, 1, 2, 3. Thumb, 1, 2, 3. Each finger is firing up into that hand at the right time. Fine motor skill control is what we're developing here. Okay, now let's switch in between 2 chords. We're going to switch between a G and a C chord. Okay, we'll do 4 measures with G, 4 measures with C. Now you're jumping from the 5th string or the 6th string with your thumb to the 5th string with your thumb. Okay? A little bit faster now that we've had a chance to work on it. Ready? Go. G chord. C chord, 5th string on that C. There you go. Keep that thumb in front. Good. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now we're going to switch between D and a G and a D and an A. Okay, we're speeding it up a little bit more. Ready? Go. Thumb, 1, 2, 3. G chord. Back to D. A chord. Very good. Okay, that was our first fingerstyle pattern right there. Thumb, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to just invert that a little bit. So it's going to be thumb, 3, 2, 1. You try that. Thumb, 3, 2, 1. Everybody thinks they know how to move their fingers until we start asking them to do fine things like this, and then you realize how little you actually move your fingers this way. Here we go on a G chord. Thumb, 3, 2, 1. Ready? Go. Let's go to a C chord. Great. Okay, let's go to exercise number 2. Starts with a D chord. We'll go a little bit faster now. Ready? Go. Thumb. Thumb. Now, if you're finding I'm going too fast for you, you may just want to press pause for a second and work on these skills for a second to get them up to the speed that we need to get them at. I'm going to go ahead and continue on as if we have gotten up to speed on these next ones. Okay? Now we've covered finger exercise 1, thumb, 1, 2, 3. Finger pattern number 2, thumb, 3, 2, 1. And the last one that I use is thumb, 2, 1, 3. Thumb, 2, 1, 3. Let's try that one. Exercise number 3 starts with a G. Let's try that one. A little bit slow. Ready? Go. Thumb, 2, 1, 3. Thumb, 2, 1, 3. Thumb, 2, 1, 3. Thumb, 2, 1. Now to a C. Keep that thumb in front, that wrist out. Very good. Okay? Now as you speed that up, it starts to sound a little bit more like music. Let's say I'm going from a D chord to maybe an A chord. Thumb 2, 1, 3, thumb 2, 1, 3, thumb 2, 1, 3, thumb 2, 1, 3. Now, as you get faster, you're going to want to clamp that hand down, bring that wrist flat. Wrong thing to do. You have to be controlled and relaxed in your wrist. Next thing we're going to talk about is finger picking with a pick. Okay, now just for a brief second, we're going to talk about finger picking with a pick, which is something you're going to do a lot is if you're strumming a little bit and then you want to do some fingerstyle stuff with it. You put your pick, of course, between your thumb and your first finger like normal. Now that unit just kind of starts to act as one. So you can still use 2 and 3 to do the picking that you need to do. So if I'm going on a D chord, I do my thumb and first, which are now working as one. Let's say I wanted to do thumb 2, 1, 3, which doesn't land as well. It would then the thumb would have to cover both spots. Thumb 2, thumb 3. See what I did there? Thumb 2. Thumb, 3, thumb, 2, thumb, 3. He's just pulling double duty now that we're using a pick. Thumb 2, 1, 3. Thumb 2, thumb 3, sorry. So you can do fingerstyle stuff with your pick, you just need to figure out how you're going to do that and a little bit of practice with it. Okay, now we're going to talk about the Merle Travis style of picking. Merle Travis was a great country guitar player for many years gone by, but he really developed this whole style of picking. Now I like to use a thumb pick. This is a Fred Kelly thumb pick, nothing particularly special about it. There are other thumb picks as well to do it, but in order to use this style, it's good to have a thumb pick because you kind of need to angle it down a little bit different. Okay, so let me just play a little bit for you using it, and then I'll kind of describe what I'm doing. Okay? Now that kind of a boom chick, kind of a picking where you're hitting the bass notes and then the chord, Chet Atkins did that a lot. It was all started with Merle Travis. And what you need to do for this technique is you have to kind of angle. Remember I told you how you always should have your hand out? Well, forget that on this technique. You bring your hand, you put your palm, this part of your palm, on the back side of your string for the bass notes, and it kind of gets this muted sound. Now, it's just on the top few strings, the bass strings, while the ones down here are still able to play the chord. So it's a little bit tricky to get started. You kind of have to angle your hand a little bit down. I'm going to give you a simple exercise to get started with it. Okay? We're just going to try and get the notes first. Okay? Here we go. Exercise 1 in your book. Ready and go. And you're looking for the correct sound in your playing. You want the note kind of choked off a little bit. Okay? It may take a little bit of practice to get that in the right spot where it's giving you the right sound. Now let's add a little bit of chords with it. Okay? So it starts out on a C chord. I'm going to do my bass notes, but I'm going to play the top of the C chord with these 3 fingers. Let's see if we can do this. I'll do it nice and slow. This is exercise 2. Ready? Go. Now you slowly build more and more complex patterns on it, throw different chords into it, but that's basically what's going on there. It takes a little bit of sitting in your room going till you actually get the flow of it. But once you do, it's a very rewarding style to play because you're kind of accompanying yourself. You've got a bass line going, you've got the chords going, you can also throw a melody on top. So it's a very interesting and fun technique to play, so I encourage you to work on it. Now you'll notice I'm switching between guitars. Some guitars lend themselves better to, the steel string guitars lend themselves better to Merle Travis stuff and some of the other finger style techniques that we've talked about. Now I'm going to talk about classical guitar a little while. I had to take classical guitar in college, and at first I thought, gosh, it's the biggest waste of time. It actually ended up being one of the most helpful skills that I now use as a player. So we're going to talk about hand position. That's the first thing. Again, relaxed. Put that hand forward a little bit. Okay? And you want to, let me mention something a little bit about taking care of your nails. On one hand, I don't have nails. On my left hand, I don't have nails. On my right hand, although it's not huge nails, I've got a little bit of nails on this hand. It helps to give you the fingerstyle right side sound if you get grow your nails out just a little bit. You don't need to be really long. Just a little bit is enough to get what you need to get for classical playing. And the emphasis is on a good, balanced hand position. Each finger moving like a machine. Okay? One of the best studies you can get as far as studying classical stuff is the Right Hand Studies by Mario Giuliani. Any music store would be able to get it for you. It's his classical right hand studies. And all it does is takes you from a C chord to a G chord in about 120 different ways. Every different combination of fingers that you can use We'll go through the first couple of them, and that'll kind of get you started, and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay? So let's start with number 1. We're in a C chord. Second one just arpeggiates those chords that we just played. And then it inverts them and goes several different ways to give you different combinations of that. So if you're interested in classical guitar playing, it's a great skill for you to have in your tool kit for being able to play. And the Giuliani right-hand studies are the best way to get started with that. Control is the main thing. In our guitar tips section, we're going to cover getting the control you need to be a fantastic fingerstyle player that I know you want to be. And we're going to talk about building up speed. So I'll see you there. Okay, welcome to the guitar tips section. There's a couple of things, 4 key things I think will help you be the fingerstyle player that you need to become. And having done this for years and years and years, these are 4 critical things that you can do to improve your fingerstyle playing as you get started in it. Number 1, always practice with a metronome. I've got my metronome handy right here. As I'm doing these studies, I started off at a tempo. You're tempted, as you're starting to play, to get real waffly on the tempo. A metronome forces you to play in the right tempo. Then, when I'm ready to go, I speed it up a little bit. Now, working with a metronome is never fun. It's not fun for me, but I've got to do it. And in almost every studio situation I've been in, almost all of them, you have some sort of a metronome going. Metronomes are what the pros use to get their tempos and fingering steady. So I'd encourage you, it's frustrating, you bet, but it's the way to go if you want to get speed and control of your fingering. Okay? You may be the one thinking that you don't need it, but I'll tell you, from someone who's done it, you're going to need a metronome. Number 2, in your fingering style technique, number 2, slow down. Everybody always wants to go fast. And next thing you know, they're tripping all over themselves and they can't do it. Their hand gets tense. They start at a slow tempo. And next thing you know, they want to go fast. They want to be Mr. Hotshot, and they don't learn the technique. So my advice to you is slow down. How slow? As stinking slow as you need to go to get your fingers doing what your brain is telling them to do. Yes, it's hard. It takes a lot of thought to get your fingers doing what they need to do, but it's only when you do it slow that you're actually training your hand. If you keep bumping your head up against the wall trying to do it fast, you can do that for years and never get any better, when actually doing it slow, few minutes each day, is going to get you where you want to go. Always practice with a metronome. Slow down, number 2. Number 3, use good technique. That's one of the best things I learned, was getting a good right hand technique. Don't have your hand way far in the back. Bring that thumb forward a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. Relax that wrist. As you speed up, don't tense up your hand. That's going to be your tendency. You're going to want to tense up that hand as you're getting faster and faster. Relax that hand. Your wrist needs to be slightly out. You don't want to go flat with it like that. Not completely far out, but just comfortable hand position. Okay? The 4th and last thing is practice and repetition. You don't get good fingerstyle technique by trying it once. It's a technique that is a physical thing And it just takes sheer gut-wrenching repetition. So sit there with a D chord and do these exercises. Thumb 2, 1, 3, thumb 1, 2, 3, thumb 3, 2, 1. Slow over and over and over again until your mind just melts out of your ears. And then you can start doing it with your fingers, start doing it without you having to think as much. So do it for a while, then come back to it, try it again. The whole idea is that you want to be able to start doing it fast without having to think about it. So even though now you may be really lost in the thumb 1, 2, 3s, do it over and over and over and over again. The repetition will start to make that second nature, and it will start to go in running on autopilot to where you can start thinking about chords and making music. Okay, so here's your assignment for this time. Okay, practice the finger exercises that we have for you in your book. There's extra exercises in there as well for you to cover. Go over as many of them as you can. I would encourage you to go through all of them until you can play them at the right tempo that we have prescribed for you, and smoothly and evenly. You can tell when you're kind of starting to get out of control. You want to be able to do them at the right tempo, smoothly and evenly. And last is practice the song Canon in D, Pachelbel's Canon. It's a very simple song. I've made more money off of this song playing it at weddings than I can even remember. I've played it so many times. It's a great song, and it's perfect for teaching arpeggiation and fingerstyle technique. So we'll see you at the workshop. Okay, welcome to the workshop time. Now here's where we get the good information that we've covered into our fingers and out into music. We're going to start with reviewing the basic finger patterns. What are the 3 basic finger patterns? Thumb 1, 2, 3, thumb 3, 2, 1, and thumb 2, 1, 3. We're going to start with the first one. In your finger exercises, we're going to be number 1. We're just on an open strings. And we're going to start out, I'm going to turn on my metronome here. Pretty slow tempo to start us out with. Ready? Number 1, go. Go ahead and repeat it. Bring that thumb out nice and in front. Relax that wrist. Each finger firing. Very good. Okay, now let's go on to number 2. I'll keep it right at that same tempo. We're going to work on that G chord first. Ready? Go. Let's go to the C chord. D chord. Stay right with that click. Very good. Let's go on to number 3. Okay? I'm going to maybe click this up a little bit. Take it a little bit faster. Starts out on that G. Thumb 1, 2, 3. Ready? Go. Thumb 1, 2, 3. C chord. Let's go back to that G chord. Just repeat it. C chord. go to number 4. Let me crank it up a little bit more. Starts on that D chord. Ready, play. G chord. A chord. Let's repeat it. Great. Okay, now let's go to that second pattern, which is thumb 3, 2, 1. I'll bring it back down slow for a second. Let's do number 1 on the next page. Ready, go. 3, 2, 1. Thumb 3, 2, 1. Thumb 3, 2, 1. The whole idea is control. Make your fingers do what your brain's telling them to do. Good. Let's do number 2. Speed it up a little bit. Number 2. 2, ready, go. Great. Okay, now just for fun, let's crank it up quite a bit. We're going to do number 2 again, a good bit faster. 1, 2, ready, go. Great job. Now let's do number 3. We're on the third pattern now. Thumb 2, 1, 3, which for me is personally that's the one I use the most. Okay, let's try that. Starts on a G chord. Ready, go. Thumb 2, 1, 3. Thumb 2, 1. Now C chord. Great. Okay, now let's do number 4. I've cranked up the tempo a little bit. Give us a little bit more practice on it. Let me bring it up a little bit more even. And let's do number 4. 1, 2, ready, go. Let's bring it up just a little bit more. Let's try it one more time. Ready, go. Good. Okay, now we're going to take a look at Pachelbel's canon, canon in D. I'll try and get through as much of it as we can here, but you're probably going to have to do a good bit of work on your own. Okay, let's start it. It's mainly dealing with thumb 1, 2, 3, our first fingering pattern. Starts on a D chord, goes through a lot of the open chords that we've already talked about, as well as some of the bar chords, so it's a real good practice on all of this. Okay, let me crank the tempo down pretty far. Here we go. Let's try it. 1, 2, ready, go. Good. Okay, that's the first part of it. Okay, let me speed it up a little bit more, just a little bit more, and we'll try it a little bit faster during that first part. Now, you also have a D with an F sharp in the bass. We haven't gotten to talking about those chords yet, but here's the form of it. It's basically a D chord, and you have this F sharp with your second finger down there, and that's what gets that F sharp there. If you just follow the tablature, it'll show you what to do. Here we go. First part again. Ready, go. Slowly and evenly. Here's that D with an F sharp. Good. That second part, let's turn this off. That second part, I'll just play for you and you can practice on your own. Okay, the second part, you're using thumb and third to get these first couple of notes. It's always thumb and third. So that's part two. Now the third part here, it gets into some 16th notes, so it's going to take a little working on it to get these 16th notes down, but it goes something like this. Great. And the last part goes something like this. Great. Well, I look forward to seeing you next time. You keep working on all the fingering and the fingerstyle things that we talked about. A little practice will take you a long way. We'll see you later.